Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morgan-Roth, and yes, you are seeing us all for the first time together. And my co-hosts tonight are Rick Curti of the Charlotte Bats. Rick, glad to have you on.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here.
And Dave Hodges, first time I've seen you since June of
2019. That's right. How you doing, guys?
We're doing really good. Well, we got some postseason, but we have some awards to talk about too. So let's talk about the MLB postseason. Who would have thought that it's here, but indeed it has. So we're going to do something a little different instead of talking about games initially. We're going to talk about the fact that ABC is televising two games like old times. We're going to have Houston at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, and the Miami Marlins take on the Chicago Cubs at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. The only thing missing is Keith Jackson, Don Drysdale, and Howard Cosell. Well, I personally could do without Cosell, but he's one of the more recognizable names anyway. So what are your thoughts about ABC getting back in the baseball business, a.k.a. ESPN?
I think it's great. I think it's finally that I remember watching the playoffs on ABC. I remember growing up, I would watch, I'd be at school, and they would show the games like in the afternoon, and I wanted to I wanted to skip school so bad, so I watched the playoff games, but unfortunately I couldn't do that. So I think it's great for ABC/ESPN to have some MLB games, and I'm surprised they haven't done any. They haven't done it sooner.
David?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's obviously going to be a throwback to many, well, I would say years ago, but it's obviously decades ago. A lot of the old timers that are still around, who, as you said, would enjoy listening to Howard Cosell and Don Drysdale. I think it's a good thing. And, in the year of 2020, as, sad as it's been worldwide, anytime you can get a feel good story to go, to go along with the postseason, of course, all sports have been in a bubble this year so far, but I'm excited, and it's only, it's good for the game. And, definitely give, as I mentioned, some, old timers who enjoyed watching it way back when, maybe a little taste of their childhood.
Yeah, I guess I'm the oldest of the three of us, so I can definitely appreciate a lot of ABC getting back in the baseball business, albeit it took ESPN to do it. I always enjoy watching Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver back in the day. Those guys are definitely consummate pros for sure. And when you go back to ABC's Monday Night Baseball, if you're a real junkie, Bob Prince, Bob Uecker, I believe, was on there for a while doing it. And, Warner Wolf. So you have a big history there. But obviously, let's face it, you're one of the four major networks doing it. And it's good that I think that baseball's going to be on ESPN. I mean, Bob Uecker and Al Michaels were a great tandem back in the day as well. And for you baseball Pirates fans out there, Bob Prince helped get it going, and Warner Wolf was a legend out in New York. So with that said, let's go on to some awards. DJ LeMahieu wins the batting title. He's the only player ever to do it in both leagues. But he's the only, and this actually, the last time that this was done, now we'll get to LeMahieu's average, it was 364. He's going to be a free agent, but he's the last player that ended up winning a batting title in both leagues. You want to talk about going back a ways? This will do it. Was Ed Delahunty for the National League in 1899, and he played in the American League in 1902. I see that Mr. Hodges here has his mouth wide open. Well, we're going back a long time. What was it, 121 years? 118 years?
That's obviously definitely a long time, and of course, we've seen MVP in both leagues, many years ago, and it's always, it's definitely something, for, the purists, or the fans that are the purists of the game, and, those that enjoy some trivia, it's definitely, you can, take that to trivia night now in the sports category. DJ LeMahieu just winning the batting title, who did it in both leagues before him, and I can only assume that was pre-dead ball era, 1899, or the dead ball era. However they called it, over a century ago. Yeah, I mean, congrats to DJ LeMahieu. It's, again, another, feel good story. And that's really, we need a lot of those this year.
Well, I wrote a story on DJ LeMahieu a few years ago when I was in the Cactus League covering some games with the Rockies. I'll never forget when I came across the Rockies PR guy. I was covering the Brewers and the Rockies over in Maryvale at the time. And the guy said, I got a guy from your neck of the woods. I mean, we're happy to help you talk to him. And lo and behold, it was DJ LeMahieu. They had another guy named Chris Russin, too. And if you give me a credential for these games, I'll be there with my tape record. The guy was true to his words, and I ended up getting 2 stories out of that. It's a Michigan connection. But DJ LeMahieu, one of those down-to-earth people you ever meet. The Yankees got him at a bargain price for the last 2 years, $12 million for the last 2 years, $12 million per, $24 million. I'm sure he'll command a lot on the free agent market, but he's already indicated he wants to continue playing in New York. And with the Yankees, there's no reason to think they won't bring him back. Some thoughts, Rick, about DJ LeMahieu?
Well, even though it was a shortened season, it's still an impressive feat. I'm trying to think back and say, yeah, we haven't seen that. I mean, it's been a long time. So, we've seen people win Cy Youngs in both leagues. We've seen people win home run titles in both leagues. And, you look back and say, yeah, I've never seen anyone win a batting title in both leagues. So an impressive feat. And Mr. LeMahieu will make a lot of money after this.
Well, we talk about a year where stats, at times you wonder whether or not they'll be compromised and asterisk. But thankfully, there was no 400 hitter, 364. That number's been hit before. So anybody that's ever worried about a 400 hitter during a 60-game campaign, put it to rest. Couldn't even do it in a 162 is one thing, but 60-game campaign, 364. Everybody will look at. I don't believe that mark deserves an asterisk, and he gets a batting title. So nobody's going to take it away from him. Let's go on to the National League. Juan Soto is a National League hit. Wins it with the Washington Nationals at the 351 mark. So again, more power to Juan Soto. Second in line in the American League, I will tell you, was Tim Anderson with 322. So while LeMahieu didn't have a real challenger for his, Freddie Freeman hit 341 for Atlanta. So he, was in there to the end, but Juan Soto emerged with the batting title. Any thoughts about those two guys?
They're both great players. Congrats to them. It was a very unpredictable kind of, we didn't know if we were going to have a season. I got to tip my hat off to Major League Baseball and to the players for sticking it out, doing a great job. And it's been a pretty exciting, I would say, a baseball season, especially with the Padres coming out. How about those Marlins looking good? So congratulations to those two guys on an outstanding season, whether it was a short season or a regular season. Hitting 364, winning a batting title is very, very difficult to do.
Rick, you and I both had our doubts that this season he would make it to conclusions, but I have no problem being proven wrong. I really don't have a problem being proven wrong, especially at a time like this. And the reality of the situation is MLB pulled it off. They really did. So, David,
did a great job.
Well, as Rick mentioned, a lot of people think, was this even going to happen, this year with everything that's going on. Also, Luke Voigt, LeMahieu's teammate, he finishes with 22 home runs to lead the majors. So, some records, some guys taking home some, records again for a shortened season.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely good for baseball. And, obviously there's going to be, as many, Yankee haters out there as, anyone could possibly think. And they're going to say, well, it's New York, but hey, numbers speak for themselves, stats speak for themselves. And, tip my hat to all the guys, that took home, whether it be home run titles, batting titles, Cy Young awards, pandemic shortened season, but a season nonetheless. So, Scott, as you were saying, where a lot of people say, oh, well, pandemic shortened, none of this stuff deserves to be in the record book. Well, it really does. The season happened. These numbers were set. And for the length of the season, what these guys had, kudos to them.
Well, let's face reality from a statistical standpoint. If a guy gets hurt, his numbers get recorded. So whether you play 60 games due to an injury or not, those are your numbers are going to live with you on the back of your baseball card anyhow. You talk about the home run title in the National League. Marcell Ozuna with Atlanta had 18. So, and the Rays are going to the postseason, as are the Yankees. So your Topps baseball card isn't going to change. Next year you're going to have these numbers on the back of it is what you're going to have. So, I don't care how you want to slice the 2020 season. I think we're just fortunate to even have one to begin with. So, with that said, let's go on to some pitching numbers. Okay, Shane Bieber, Cleveland had 8 wins. Yu Darvish for the Cubbies had 8 wins. So again, we'll pair that up with the ERA. Shane Bieber had the best ERA in the American League, 1.63. Trevor Bauer had 1.73. Yu Darvish in the National League, and Yu Darvish 201. So, what were your takes, Rick Curti, with the National League pitching side of this whole thing?
Mr. Bieber's is becoming more like the Justin Bieber of the MLB. He's gotten everyone excited. And so congrats to him. To me, he's a slam dunk Cy Young Award winner. Like I said, short season or not, to have an ERA under 2, that's phenomenal. And so Mr. Bieber there, I see him getting the Cy Young easily. And I think a massive, big star. He's just been getting better and better every year. This is his breakout year, and I think we have a big star arising from this shortened season with Mr. Bieber.
Dave?
Well, yeah, again, it's like I said, with the guys in the American League, it's all you can do is, tip your cap to the guys in the National League. Of course, Yu Darvish, been around the league quite some time. I know he was, I think, a long-time Dodger. I think he was down there with the Dodgers. He's been around, but as a Cubs fan, I'm happy to see it. And, again, those fans are obviously universal and, going way back, so happy for them to win in 2016. But, hats off to them. And, hopefully they can, just take this season and expand on it next year.
As far as the Cy Young Award, I guess Bieber deserves it for Cleveland in the American League. I would give the nod to Yu Darvish with the 8 wins, and even though he had a 2.01 ERA, the difference between 1.73 and 2.01 is not substantially that higher for sure. So let's talk about the Miami Marlins now that you brought it up. Okay, Don Mattingly is the only player in Yankees history to have his number retired without a World Series championship ring. And when you talk about Don Mattingly per se, okay, let's think of what he had to deal with all year. Okay, according to Miami Marlins president of baseball operations, Michael Hill, he believes that his club became stronger as a team after dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak that interrupted the season in late July and early August. I'm going to bring in some numbers. Of the original 30 players, 13 remained healthy throughout the year. They missed over a week of action due to the outbreak that saw 18 players test positive. Bill said that 171 roster moves, to be exact, and you also plan on players hurting their arm and dealing with hamstring problems and having to replace them every couple of weeks. But think about this, guys. In a matter of days, if you went from 1 player with the virus to 4 players to 13 to 15 to 18, that's a lot to deal with. What it comes down to is the Miami Marlins are the number 6 seed in the 2020 playoffs, hosting a winning season following a 105-loss campaign last year. Their last winning season was in 2009. Their last postseason was when they were in the 2000 World Series, ironically against the New York Yankees, for whom they beat 2 out of 3 over the weekend. Pretty fine effort by the Miami Marlins. And then I want to talk about Don Mattingly, because that to me is just unbelievable.
Well, I picked him for my manager of the year early in the season. I said if they were going to have a season and if it ended, it would be Don Mattingly because of what he has gone through. This rebuild, losing so many games last year, new ownership, and then getting pretty much your whole team getting COVID, and then to rally them. They could have just fallen apart, but they didn't. They rallied together. They make the playoffs. And to me, Don Manley is my NL manager of the year. So he did a great job. He is a great manager. I was sad to see him go as the Dodgers manager because I really, really like him a lot. I love him as a player. I love him I think he's even he's a better man, better manager, So congrats to Don Manley and the Marlins for making the playoffs.
Dave?
Well, I agree. Congratulations to him. It's been so long for the Marlins since they've, I believe, even been in the postseason. It's, I think, is their first one since 2003.
Right, 17 years.
17 years. So, that's a long time, obviously, for one franchise to be, in any sport to not make the postseason. But, Derek Jeter, obviously, he's got to be very happy, the CEO of the team. And, and he says, this is just the beginning. They're a very young team. A lot of people thought they were inexperienced. That they would just kind of go through the motions of the season. They weren't ready for the postseason. Hopefully they can go far. I wish all the luck to him. And I agree with Mr. Curti how Don Mattingly, he's done such a good job. With such a young team, normally you got to put in at least a good 3, 4, 5 years. When working with young players, to get them to be at the level that you want them to be, to get them to develop. So yeah, he's hands down got to be the manager of the year in the National League. And, hopefully, for the Marlins, they just keep going.
Yeah, well, when you talk about Don Mattingly as a whole, not only as a player but a manager, he exhibited leadership qualities even during his playing days. He was the Yankees captain from 1991 and 95. And as I mentioned, he's the only Yankee have his number retired without winning a World Series with the team. He has a monument at Monument Park. He coached with Joe Torre with the 2004 Yankees and followed him to the Dodgers. I think the only problem he had with LA is he was disrespected, is really what it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the first manager in franchise history, the guy that Dodgers took 3 straight postseason appearances, albeit allowing more teams in there. And of course, notwithstanding his hitting accomplishments, he holds the MLB record in 87 with 6 grand slams in one season, albeit it's only 6 of his career. But he's a 6-time All-Star, so he's certainly going to command his players' respect based on what he's done on the field. 9-time Gold Glove winner, American League batting championship in 1984 when he hit for 343, and Dave Winfield was a runner-up at 340, so he had a little batting race between 2 teammates, kind of like the Voit situation with LeMahieu, 2 teammates getting up, making it interesting for the Yankees. Back in 1979, he was drafted in the 19th round pick by the Yankees, was an underdog there, got a $23,000 signing bonus, and I know he's contemplating an offer to go to Indiana State to play for the Sycamores. But here's what summarizes Don Mattingly the best. Buck Showalter, Mattingly's last manager during his playing days, and a former teammate in the minor leagues, attributed Mattingly's calmness to the controversies he was subjected to during his time with the Yankees during the George Steinbrenner era. And, of course, let's not forget that Don Mattingly had his number 18 retired by the AA Nashville Sounds. But to put his numbers in perspective, he had a lifetime average of 307, 2,153 hits, 222 home runs. And if you're and that thing called the 1099, which is the employer, you can always remember that to 1099 RBI. So, so when you talk about his body of work, a 300 hitter, I once asked him during one of our conferences about whether he got involved with teaching hitters. He said he did. He left a lot of it to his hitting coaches. But, I enjoyed working with Don Mattingly this year, as well as the rest of the people I was working with. Just a down-to-earth guy, very humble. And you know what? There's no better person to lead this team. And he's very appreciative in this market. So, all right. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the matchups. We've got about 10 minutes to go tonight. So we'll begin with the American League. You got Houston against Minnesota. Houston, the 6th seed, the Minnesota Twins, the 3rd seed. They're at home. The Houston Astros and the Milwaukee Brewers, by the way, are the only 2 teams that had sub-500 records at 29 and 31. Houston becomes the number 6 seed because they were in 2nd place in the division. So I'm going to ask you for predictions who you have in each series. I don't need games. Well, just give me winners. All right, Rick. Houston and Minnesota, who do you have?
I'm going to say Houston. I just don't really think that Minnesota is really a up there yet. I'm going to go with the Astros experience, cheating or not cheating. Or, they have the experience. And so they're in the playoffs. And pretty much right now it's kind of a crapshoot. I think once you're in the playoffs, it don't matter if you're 6 or 3 or whatever. This is such a weird, bizarre, unpredictable season. So I'm going to go with the Astros.
David?
I think I'm going to go with the Twins here. I'm going to predict an upset in this, in this series. Of course, the Astros, as Rick mentioned, they have the scandal they've been dealing with. I think they're going to be hearing about this for a long time. And Twins do have the history of, kind of coming up in the first round and, socking other teams in the mouth. But Alex, I'm going to go for the upset on this one. I'm going to pick Minnesota over Houston to advance.
I don't feel it's an upset. If Houston had Justin Verlander, I pick the Astros. They don't. I'll go with Minnesota. The games are being played in Minnesota. So I definitely believe the Twins are going to walk away. All right, let's go to Chicago White Sox, 7th seed versus Oakland A's, number 2. But again, Oakland's at home. Rick, the Sox or the A's?
I got the A's. I think Bob Melvin is my manager of the year in the American League. What he has done has just been a tremendous job with that payroll. I mean, Moneyball, Billy Bean's just a genius what he does there. And I think the A's have been on a roll all season. White Sox kind of came into the playoffs limping, hurting. So I like the A's in this one.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I agree. I like Oakland in this one. I'm going to side with the AL West in this series. I'm a diehard Mariners fan, having spent most of the mid to latter 90s in Seattle. Of course, obviously my Mariners aren't in it, but I like the AL West in this. Yeah, Oakland's a good squad. I agree with Rick. Bob Melvin's just done a great job out there in the Bay Area. So I'm going to go Oakland on this one as well.
This is unanimous. I go with the A's. That's a no-brainer. Bob Melvin's a heck of a manager. Billy Bean does a good job, at least for this round. I don't know how deep they'll go, but we'll just take it 1 week at a time. The A's all the way. We have a unanimous here. And it doesn't hurt that they're playing at home. They don't play in front of a lot of people anyway, so it wouldn't be a big deal. So who cares?
Nobody is.
Yeah. All right. The Toronto Blue Jays haven't played at home all year. They played in Buffalo, and they're playing in Tampa where they don't draw anybody, so it's not a big deal. But the Tampa Bay Rays look awfully good, and go ahead, Rick. We like to joke around about their attendance, but there's no joking around about their attendance this year.
No, they're a great team. Congrats to the Buffalo Blue Jays, as we can say. They did really great we didn't know where they were going to play at. There were rumors they were going to come to Charlotte or maybe play in Nashville, but Buffalo made the most sense. So, congrats to them. And, Tampa Bay, I mean, they're amazing. They have absolutely no support there with their fans. They play in a horrible stadium. And, I thought when Madden left, I said, that's it for them. They're going to be gone. They'll probably move away. They'll be down in the bottom of the basement, and they're not. They're such a great team, a resilient team. And it's unfortunate that the city of Tampa or St. Petersburg really hasn't embraced them. So I love Tampa Bay in this one.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go Tampa as well. That team, they've kind of built their own little history over the past couple of years. I know they've had, the rivalry with Boston, maybe to a lesser extent, the Yankees. But they've definitely cranked out a lot of, great players over the years. Obviously, David Price, Evan Longoria, just to name a few. I remember seeing Evan Longoria play with the Durham Bulls when he came through. Rick, you might have been there. They came to play Charlotte Knights. He was only, I think, in the AAA system for probably a week at most.
Yeah.
But luckily, that was during that week. That was the time when the Durham Bulls stopped here in Charlotte. And I like the Rays in this one. Rick, like you said, it's kind of sad how the city really hasn't embraced them. The team's been around since obviously the mid '90s. I'm going Rays on this one over the Blue Jays.
Well, unanimous again. The Rays right now look like a model organization. They're playing their best ball right down the stretch. They manhandled the Philadelphia Phillies, and they'll tell you what, they look like they indeed do deserve to be the number 1 seed. I think baseball can make it in the Tampa Bay area, but in Hillsborough County and not Pinellas County, so we'll make it unanimous. Last American League matchup, you had the New York Yankees, 5th seed at Cleveland. The Indians are the 4th seed. Okay, Rick.
Well, I wish Harry Francona a speedy recovery. The Indians had a great year, but I can't go against the Yankees. I mean, they're my World Series pick with them and the Dodgers in there. That'd be classic to see a Dodgers-Yankees World Series. I have those two meeting there, and I can't go against them. I really, really like the Yankees a lot, so I'm picking the Yankees in this one.
Well, to me, I think this is a pretty even matchup. Obviously, in the seeding, of course, number 4 against number 5. I think this could really go either way here. I could see this series going the distance. The Yankees, they've been up and down, I guess, over the last 2 months, and I could see Cleveland surprising people here. I know, Rick, you picked the Yankees for the World Series. You think as much as people would love to see the Yankees advance. I'm almost kind of 51%, 49% Cleveland on this one.
Okay, that's fine. No, nothing wrong with differing. Although I'm going to stay with Rick, though. I went with the Yankees to get to the to go all the way. I can't back on it now, but it's going to be a tough series. Yankees are going to have to earn this one. They're getting a lot of their players back. I think if they have been healthier, they'd be a little higher up the food chain seed-wise, but they're hard to go against a pick that you went with earlier. So at least for this particular matchup, I'm going to go with them. So Yankees on my end as well. We'll go to the National League matchups, and then we'll wrap up the broadcast tonight. Cincinnati Reds against the Atlanta Braves, battle of I-75. Don't worry, I've been to both of them, both cities plenty of times. So you got the Reds or the Braves. All right, David, we'll let you lead off of the National League.
Well, obviously, the Braves, have such a rich history in the postseason. Of course, under Bobby Cox for all those years, they, I believe they won, maybe 12 straight division titles, with Bobby Cox still in the dugout. I could see Atlanta advancing here. I know, of course, Cincinnati's a good squad, but I think I'm just, with Atlanta and the young, group they have down there. I like the Braves in this series to advance.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, I like the Braves as well. My MVP pick is Marcell Ozuna. I mean, he was 4th in batting average at 338, 3rd in home runs with 18, and 2nd in RBIs with 56. So he came close to sort of like a half-season triple crown right there. And I do like the Braves a lot. I'm not really sold on the Reds. They're sort of like the Twins with me. They're sort of like, congrats that they're in there. But would they have made the playoffs during a regular season? I don't think so. So, and I think the Braves are due. They've stumbled a couple of years in the playoffs, and so I think they're going to advance in this one.
We're unanimous. I'll go with the Braves all the way. Tough division for sure. The National League is certainly a tough league. They have to work their way to get to it. All roads lead to the Dodgers, but in this series, I definitely give the Braves the edge over the Cincinnati Reds. I'm not a firm believer of the Reds yet. I don't know how productive Mike Moustakas or Nick Castellanos are going to be in the postseason. But again, Braves all the way in this. 3 more series to go. Miami Marlins against the Chicago Cubs. All right, David, who you got?
I like the Cubs in this one. I know we mentioned the Marlins earlier, and Mattingly, with what a good job he's done down there. But again, this is the postseason, and they say anything can happen. Cubs obviously have postseason experience. As we mentioned earlier, the Marlins are a very young team. It's obviously it's different in past years. For young teams, obviously you're out there in front of tens of thousands of people, but all the fans are are watching via TV or whatever streaming services they can get. I do like the Cubs in this one. I just think the experience will win out. So yeah, I'm going Cubs over the Marlins.
Right.
Well, this is a very close one, but I'm gonna go with the Marlins on this one. I just think they're on a roll right now. Manny, like we said, is the manager of the year in the National League. The Cubs, and I'm not really quite sold on them. I still don't understand them getting rid of Madden. and replace him with Ross. But, congrats to him. But I'm just not really sold as much on the Cubs. And I do like the Marlins a lot. I just think they're on a roll, and they've really, since that COVID outbreak, they've really have regrouped and focused, and they got that big monkey off their back. They're now in the playoffs. So I like to see. I actually do like the Marlins in this one. It's a slight upset.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Marlins too. I don't know. Am I leading with my heart, my head? I'm close to the situation, but I know one thing: this team is playing on house money. Is what they're doing. Resilient group. They're a product of their manager, Don Mattingly, the most calming influence on the planet. So, again, this team here, I don't know how deep they're going to go, but Don Mattingly does deserve manager of the year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I'm going with the Marlins. I got to go with them. How can I not? And don't downplay the fact that they have good pitching. Sixto Sanchez and Pablo Lopez could be dangerous in a short series too. And they have some good veterans. Jesus Aguilar stepped up. Corey Dickerson to go along with the heart of their team, Miguel Rojas. So, all right, I'm going to go with the Marlins as well. 2 more games to go. St. Louis against the Slam Diego Padres. I know we've been talking about the Padres for a long time. All right, David, go ahead.
Padres. Yeah. That's about really, all you can say for this series. The season they've had, it would be just, I don't want to say catastrophic, but if San Diego was to lose this series and go out in the first round after the season they've had, it would just leave the fans kind of looking around saying, what just happened here? You steamroll through the season. Obviously, we've seen the rise of Tatis Jr., them getting Clevenger, from the Indians, the trade deadline. I'll even go as far to say San Diego will sweep the series in this one. So, yeah, San Diego's my pick.
Go ahead, Rick.
Well, the Cardinals are a great team. They won the second most World Series next to the Yankees. They know how to win. But, San Diego has a lot of power, a lot of better players. I'm going to go with the Padres. I think it's going to be a close series, though, because I just think the Padres just lack the inexperience that they have close to the Cardinals, who have been into the playoffs, that won championships for many, many, many years. But I'm going to go with the Padres in this one, but I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think it's going to be a pretty close series, to be quite honest with you.
I'm going to go with the Padres. They can hit the cover off the baseball, as David mentioned. Fernando Tatis Jr. You have Eric Hosmer, I believe, on that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Machado, they look pretty bad. They'll hit the ball out of the park. All right, last but not least, the 1 versus the 8, the Milwaukee Brewers backed in to this thing, but they got in nonetheless against the LA Dodgers. I think, though, they wouldn't have backed in if they had Lorenzo Cain, however. Lorenzo Cain probably could have gotten them a few wins, but nevertheless, the Brewers do make it to the playoffs for the 3rd straight year. And the Dodgers, 43-17, they did what everybody expected them to do. All right, David, go ahead.
Again, picking the Dodgers for this one. I think both teams from Southern California are going to advance here. Walker Buehler is the starter in Game 1 for the Dodgers. The Brewers haven't decided who's going to start that series, but I think it's the Dodgers all the way here. Obviously, they've had quite the offseason, getting Mookie Betts and David Price from the Boston Red Sox. To me, it's got to be the Dodgers. I think Milwaukee might get a game or 2 here, but I'm picking LA in this one.
Rick?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Candy, but I'm going to go with the Dodgers in this one. They're just, to me, the best team in baseball right now. They've been super red hot since the beginning of the season. No big surprise here. I love, to me, the Brewers are very gritty, very gutty, but I just think Coco Crisp, and they are just so red hot right now, and they've been red hot all season. And I mean, if they lose this, I've been very hard on the Dodgers. I'm a Dodger fan, and I've called them the Buffalo Brave, the Buffalo Bills of Major League Baseball. And if they don't win this or go to a World Series or win a World Series, they definitely will be the Buffalo Bills in Major League Baseball. So I have them winning this pretty easy.
I'll make this short and sweet. Dodgers blow them out. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Milwaukee's fortunate to be there. No Brewers love here. Then you're dealing with the 1 and the 8. To me, it's this 1 and 8 reminds me of the NCAA tournament, where you have the decisive number 1 versus the number 16 that got in there for the playing game. But you had to have 8 spots. The Brewers are thankful to get there. Not even close. But that said, okay, you're listening to 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth. My co-hosts tonight are David Hodges and Rick Curti. Glad to have you guys with us. So with that said, Rick, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know how you what you represent. David will do the same, and then we'll wrap this broadcast up.
Well, my website is www.charlottebats.com. My email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. You can reach me on Facebook at Charlotte MLB. We also have another fan page there at Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm also on Twitter at Charlotte Bats Baseball, and I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curti, Curti, and you can contact me on any of those social media websites.
And you, David?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Dave Davino Hodges, Davinho, diehard soccer fan. Of course, everybody that listens in every week would know. Like I said, I love soccer. I love the Brazilian teams, and those names always tend to end with NHO. So I figured I'd just give myself a Brazilian soccer name. So yes, Dave Davino Hodges on Facebook, and Dave Talk Sports on Twitter, where you can hit me up, let us know what you think of the show, or any topics you might like us to discuss in a future broadcast. I'm also on LinkedIn under David Hodges.
And I should point out, Rick Curti does a wonderful job helping us on social media as a consultant for the South Florida Tribune. We appreciate what he does. As I said, you're listening to 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. My name is Scott Morganroth. To find this broadcast, this podcast, you can find it through Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, where you get your podcasts. I'll go over it again. Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, where we get your podcasts. As to contacting us, you can follow us at Twitter at Tribune South. That's at Tribune South. Facebook and Instagram, South Florida Tribune. YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune. And our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. You can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Scott Morgan. So, guys, well done. Look forward to doing this again next week. We'll have a few less teams to talk about, but this is a good start. Don't know when we're going to get some awards, but at least I can say right now we know who won the respective titles, and the integrity of no 400 hitter indeed exists. So, Rick, as you do every week, why don't you give your COVID message, and then we'll wrap it up.
Well, guys, COVID's still out there. I know a lot of people are getting tired of wearing the mask, but it's something we have to do. Unfortunately, we got some knuckleheads out there that still don't want to wear a mask. People are still partying and being careless. So please wear a mask. Please social distance. It's just use some common sense, and whatever plans you have for this year. Like me, I canceled pretty much everything, and so I can get ready for 2021. But just be safe out there, be careful, and let's just rally together as a country and let's defeat COVID-19.
Couldn't have said any better. With that said, on behalf of Dave Hodges, Rick Curti, my name is Scott Morganroth. Thank you for joining us on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. We'll do it again next Monday night. Good job, guys, and you guys have yourself a great week. Good night, everybody.
You too, Scott. Good night.
Thanks, guys.